Hi, this is BZ Rieger, and we're back for the second half of the game. This is a quantum baseball game on March 29th, 2019. And yes, I know baseball has 9 innings, and we're doing 6 in this game. So, hey, it's the way it is. So we're on inning 4, 5, and 6. The first 3 were really cool. And I have to say, for myself anyways, I was so, when you're out and you're playing a game and you're just stoked, you're just jazzed, you're just, fired up. So I took Keegan out. We're having our agility first of the year, first agility competition tomorrow. So we took a break in between the first 3 innings for the second 3. We went out for a little walk, and he's like doing the Aussie dance, like, wow, Mom, I don't know what you guys had in that baseball game, but wow, let's go, run or streak or, So, anyways, I was pretty jazzed by it.
All right, me too.
So we're going to have Sheila is pitching, BZ is batting, and Lisa is fielding in this inning.
When you're having downloads, for lack of a better word, you have shared with us that you see things and you see colors. Do you always grok what it is that you're getting, or how do you the processing? Can you share a little bit about your processing of how, when those things come in for you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll share some of what I have heretofore, but wait for the next freckle, and it's actually, it's interesting because we were talking off camera, and I was describing some things and thinking about the question that you just asked me, and kind of the way the data was coming in and stuff. So first way I'd start to answer that is that it does come in different ways. Sometimes it's just like there's a sense, a knowing, like if you happen to walk by and you have an old-fashioned answering machine, and you didn't hear the phone ring, and you didn't hear it talking, but there's a little light blinking. So you've got a message waiting or package waiting. So sometimes it's like that. It's like you're aware of your body and your senses and what's going on, and you might feel a pulse. You might actually see a flash. It comes in different ways for me. But there's a message waiting, a package waiting, a download waiting. And
you've got mail.
So I'll get into how I undo that, if that's part of the question too. Another way that it'll be coming in, like in the first half of this quantum baseball game, where I'm fully present and playing a game and doing a quantum playground show and all that kind of stuff. So a couple of things at once, but I'm fully present. And as I hear something, because I wrote down 3 shows, that we'll do conversations from this. One was the title came forth from Sheila, and one came from Lisa, and one came from me. It just happened to be that way. It wasn't, wasn't by our, in the little shirts design, but apparently it was by other ours design. So in that instance, I'm fully present. I'm doing stuff. I'm busy, right? Doing stuff. and a download will come in. I can hear it and see it come in simultaneous to doing what, if you watch the first half of this game, you see me doing. And in that way, for that example, it comes through where it comes on my visual video screen.
Okay.
So I can actually see like video scenes from the actual download. I can
Wow.
hear how would I describe it? I can hear some words, like for example, the title, something was said, and there was maybe one other word extra than what I wrote down around it in the actual speech that was coming out of Sheila or Lisa's mouth. Let's just use that example.
Okay.
But so I'm watching it fully, and so in the video screen, the title comes across and it highlights, and as I can see it come across my video screen, for lack of a better way, it's just the way I describe it. So I see the title. Now my regular ears are hearing the conversation, and so it may have been 4 or 5 words that someone said, and as it comes in, it makes a title. So it might take out this word or that word, and that's the title, like faced for a title. If you're looking at a title of something, it's a different font size, and so it'll appear that way.
Okay.
And it will have, it will highlight in the color that might represent, a title. If you're looking at the title on a movie or something, it has a certain character to it, has a certain drama to it, has a certain, catching attention to it. So that's represented in a visual way,
Mm-hmm.
and in a energetic way, so that you could, like, has weight to it, if that makes sense, for the title. And then what I got on those examples, I would get packets where I could unpack. It's almost like if we're having a conversation, or if you're in a meeting or whatever it is. So we're having, and someone walks by me and just hands me a note.
Right.
So hands me this, and I'm fully present, and I might just out of the corner of my eye look at it, and I can see that, maybe there's a couple columns of writing on it or something, and I can get the sense of that
Right.
simultaneous to what I was doing. And just to carry that one step further, we did take a break so Keegan and I could get a little something to eat, and in that break, then those packets unpacked themselves more and added more things, if that makes sense. So that's 2. There's a bunch more, but there's one other one that I want to highlight where I would describe it as, okay, I'll highlight 4. So I would describe it as it's a total immersion, surround sound, surround video, and I mean that literally and figuratively, right? Of information. So I might see, oftentimes that one will start with pulses of light. So they're pulses and they're flashes, which are slightly different, the way that I perceive them.
Mm-hmm.
And if I was to, because one's doing it right now, if I was to isolate that, like if I had it on video and I would just slow that frame, either hit it, so I'm slowing the frames down in the way that it's showing, you could see there's not quite the right word, but it's the one that's coming to mind. There's an oscillation in the frequency of the pulses and the flashes. So if you were looking in just quick real time, it may look like a flash or a pulse, which is a pulse is more like this and a flash is slightly, so those hand moves are kind of accurate. But if I isolate that one, I can see that there are, I'm not sure why this version, but there's a dance that comes with one of those pulses and one of those flashes. So it's more than just a flash. So if I took a flashlight and I flashed it on, flashed it off, you'd say that's a flash. But if I'm focused on just that one, to, again, I'm trying to back, which is started to back out of it, and I isolate that, there's more complexity and components than just a flash. So again, back to video, if I slowed the video down, I could say, yes, so the flash, it's not there, then it is, then it's not. But if I focus on it more, in that there's different wavelengths of light might be wave, which is different frequencies, which is different spectrums of light, which is different because light is information. So it's different codexes of light. It's different files in the, in the messenger packet, we'll say, of light. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So that starts that way, and then as part of that surround sound immersion thing, again, I'm not quite sure how else to describe it. That's the way I've always called it. It's the well, what I just described could be part of the language of light, but is the music of the sphere. So there's a lot of excuse me, auditory sound that there must be a component to it beyond just what I hear. So in other words, when we're talking, if someone happened to walk by or turns on this video, there's sound, there's audio, right? And right. So they can turn up their volume or hear the audio, or turn down their volume and not hear the audio, right?
Yeah.
So it's beyond just an auditory component that I hear within me, if that makes sense, if I'm describing that correctly. Because I've noticed a couple times there's been a human like right adjacent to me when it's happening, and they catch something. They don't know what it is they've caught. They don't, and they kind of looking around. But Rose and Keegan and different things will turn and look at me, and the cocking of the head and watching. So it is audible beyond, like, I don't know how to, beyond in my head. It's there's something going on out here.
Yeah.
Audible, quote unquote, may not be the correct thing, but there's so I'm trying to figure out it's kind of a combination of the things that happen. They do happen in series, yet they're kind of all at once at the same time. Same thing. If you slowed it down the video, you might see. But it's a shower of color and frequencies and light and codes. So within, think of aren't there those like rainbow curtains of beads or something that might have been in the 60s or something, and they're different colors. And so it's a shower like that. So it's very, you know, kind of columnar, we'll say.
Okay.
Colors. So they're not all lined up like soldiers per se, but there's this band of color and this. So there's different colors. Some of them repeat. Some of them might be, maybe, just to use an example, there might be a column that's about this wide that if you were to first glance at it, you might say it's a column of blue. Yet when you look at it, it's actually, yes, a column of blue, but you know, I've got several different shades of blue on here. And so when you read the column, you see that it's many columns. And yes, they're all blue, but they're very distinct hues, shades, right? Colors of, and all the things that go into what a color registers as in that. Does that make sense? So there's columns of color. They do, sometimes they might be like I just described in the blue one, but they can also be with blue and then a green or a pink, you know, so they can be rainbow-esque, right? They're not just color, because when I look at them, I'm not sure the right word, more closely or more singled out, maybe. There are symbols, there are codes, there are symbols in them. And so they're raining down. It's like a shower of this, and the how would I describe a shower? So the flow of the water, I'm just gonna say this is not water, but the flow of the size of the droplets, the flow of the water, so I'm going to say something about the geez, looking at the stuff's a lot easier than trying to the something about the flow and volume, if that makes sense. You know, thinking about, I'm just trying to use the metaphor of shower because that's what it looks like. It looks like a shower. Right. And so okay, so I've got the pulses, I've got the music of the spheres, I've got the shower, and then I think I would describe it as slightly different noticings of scent. But it isn't, it isn't, I want to say it isn't a particular fragrance or smell. It's just a scent. And close as I can say, it's, you know, if I was to kind of do like a, I don't know the right word, like a ballparking characterization, right? It's, you know, on a your first day off in a long time, or on a gorgeous, your quintessential gorgeous summer day, where not a care in the world, not a time in the world, whatever you want, it's right there. So that's an energy thing, but that has a certain this is a quintessential something, right? You know what I mean? So
Right.
they have, there are slight variations, but in these they have that scent to them, and it's distinct, you know, and there are variations to them, but that would be one way. So yeah, backing out of it, that would be another way that they come in. And another way, and that can be when I'm if I'm sleeping and I may wake up to that because maybe the first of the pulsing or the flashes kind of catch my eye, or I may be sleeping and then kind of awake and maybe I'm a little bit more cognizing of the shower part and the streaming of the colors and the symbols coming by, and I may only wake up enough to go, wow, that's one mother of a download, because those suckers are coming fast, you know. Wonder what that is. And then I go back to sleep. So and so what I just described is where I can be alone doing that, and it happens. And then slightly different than I think it was the second one I did, where I'm standing up wide awake, not meditating, not I'm doing whatever I'm doing. And that could be having a ball, that could be just watching the paint dry, you know, it could be busting my butt at work, whatever, it doesn't really matter. And those, I think, have all the components of certainly of the one I just described in them, but they're not, I don't know how to describe it. They're not as at the forefront. They're not as demonstrable. You know, again, if I looked, I could see, oh yeah, okay, there are all those pieces. What is at the forefront there is not quite tredicated, but it's a it's not a scene in that it's something that's already happened, although it may have. I actually, I never, because I kind of take them as they go, but there's a whole live action video to it. So how to describe it? Well, it's really cool, but it's as if I had my own production studio and I had my whole troupe of actors and whatever it is. I got costumes, you know, I got the scene set, we're on location, it's the perfect thing, and whatever's coming in is right there, and I'll say it's it's representational only in as much as that the clip may be 20 seconds or, you know, maybe a minute, maybe a little bit more, but it's a full-length movie in whatever that clip is. Is that, just to use metaphors, does that make sense? You know, so unlike a trailer, which kind of takes a thing or snips, this is like the whole full-length feature film in the
zip file.
Huh? Yeah.
A zip file.
Yeah. But that you can visually see
what's in it.
Yes. And so my handy dandy, you know, production company and wardrobe, you know, mistress and lighting and all that kind of stuff, and the locations can be anywhere from right around where I live, right where I work, right in the different places that I, hang or do stuff, can be on this planet, nowhere near what I just described, can be on other planets, can be on other locations that I may not be, from a cognizing point of view, exactly where they are. But do you know what I'm saying? So that comes, so whatever the appropriate, and sounds silly, but it kind of is a good description of it, whatever the appropriate costuming and the particular vehicles or whatever. If you're doing a period movie, you want to have, you don't want someone driving a Maserati down the street when you're supposed to have horses and buggies. But so it's all commensurate, and it's all there, and it's a visual. And then when that gets unpacked, it does a lot of the same things that the other ones do, and there's more there. But anyways, that's how, I think that was the question. That's how they come in.
That's awesome. Now, could you, I guess it's a follow-up, if I may.
What, did I bunt and you caught the ball and you're winging it back?
Yeah, that's what this is. That's exactly correct. Oh, and did I forget to mention that, the questioner gets to make the rules? No.
You caught a pop fly and you're winging it back at me. Okay.
That's right. Let's delve.
This is a real exciting game we got going on today. This is good stuff.
That's right. So what? I mean, that's quite elaborate what you just described.
I know.
And beautifully described, I should say. And I have a sense. Maybe it's because
let me stop you for 1 minute.
Okay.
It's much cooler than what I just described. So I'm kind of listening to me describe it, thinking, yeah, but you forgot this, or it's much, so, but yeah.
Well, I got the sense that it was much cooler in that it's kind of hard to describe what.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I feel that part.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I have a sense though, through your description and, doing that comparing thing, because that's part of what we do as humans. And, for me, what I have a sense of, it's similar to what I would describe for myself as having, if you recall my thoughts of having that vision that I thought I had, more like a packet of information that comes in like this, and then it's not that at all, whenever anything comes in, it's not that it's all real clear, for me anyway. And I'm wondering, so this is like that, that's what I said, this is a follow-up. Is that the same for you? Does it sometimes, take a little while for it to unfold and reveal all of what it has? That's the sense that I have. It's not like, it's always there. So, I'm sure that everybody can relate to getting something all at once. And yay, team, when that happens. But I have a sense that some of what you're describing does take, unfolds a little over time.
Yeah, well, sometimes it's clear as mud when it comes in.
That's what I thought. That's been my experience. That's why I wanted to ask that.
Sometimes it's oh yeah, cool. And I know it's only part of it, but wow, yeah, sometimes it's like, well, yeah, I have no idea what that is or what you're showing me or where it goes or what I'm supposed to do with it, and it's clear as mud, but thanks. You know?
Store that in the old vault for later.
Yeah, right. And I'm sure someone will let me know what the hell I'm supposed to do with that. And if you want me to get working on it right away, you might bring a decoder down here, or give me a hint.
Well, thank goodness I'm not the only one that has that attitude, because I'm like, look, if you want me to do something, you got to be a little clearer.
Right. Well, yeah, and sometimes I go, okay, so pretend I'm really stupid, and you got to put it in big letters and speak slowly. And spell slowly too,
Yeah, for the slow in the back, meaning me.
What is it called when you look up a word, in the dictionary, and then they can spell out how you would pronounce it? That's called something I don't, So there's the word, and then usually in brackets there's
The enunciation or the pronunciation.
Yeah, but it's called I know they're showing you what the is, but it's like a character in the anyways, so it's like sometimes it's like that, see what they did there? Could you yeah. And sometimes it wasn't there, didn't know it, didn't remember it, didn't fill in whatever you want, as the didn't, and then it's there. And it's all there. So a good analogy would be like if there was a course you wanted to take that you were really excited about taking because you wanted to learn how to do X. So you read the description, or you talked to some people who did this course, whatever, any course you think about. So and you're excited about that, and you take the course, and when you get to the other side of the course, it's like, oh yeah, there's concepts and answers, new things, and creativity. So beforehand, as Sheila said, you're open to what's coming in, whatever that is, and then something. So it happens like that. So you don't know, I don't know, and then it comes in, and it's like, oh yeah, wow. And it's all there. And because it's not there, then it is. And I'll say absolutely that it's fully there, whatever this piece is. It just is. So it's so just is that you really have to tease out, I guess you could say, what wasn't there before or what is there now, because it's just there. Like the left hand is at the end of my left arm. Well, how did it get there? Or how do you attach it? Or, does that make sense? So yeah, so that happens. And like the one in the first part of this game, first couple innings of this game, where something is coming real time as I'm, immersed in something else with kind of two different focuses. So the actual being with you, the three of us just being together, just being beings playing, and then the fact that we're recording it so that it can be part of the purpose that we're supposed to be doing, right? So that's two. Where it comes in, and it's like someone said, go do this. You'll meet at such and such a place, and you're going to pick up a car and do this. And so you're hearing all that. And it's very clear. And then, and there'll be an envelope on the seat when you get there. So that part comes in very clear, unpacked. You got it. You see it. It wasn't there. Now it is there. Yeah. Okay. Got it. And you just put that down, just like, put it down. And then it unpacks itself, sometimes it may impact all of it. Someone may say, okay, now here's the second note, and now you go over there, and you know, because it's event driven, not time driven. Nothing is time driven, despite how much we want to say, are we there yet? Or, you know, it hasn't happened yet, or that date's past, you know, it doesn't work that way. So that would be, you know, as far as the relationship to it. And sometimes it's, and this sometimes may be part of me wanting to perceive it as clear as mud, is that I can, I don't know the right description, I can read part of it, but the file's locked. Does that make sense? Or I, now I know part of it, but the file is locked. It's not like the file isn't there, but it's locked.
Right.
And it will stay locked. For me, what I've noticed on a lot of those, hence I always say that it happens at the behest of us. The file locking is not, I wouldn't characterize it that I'm locking it from myself or that I'm veiling myself from it. What I would characterize it as is, well, me in the shirt would really like to know what this is, because I have a feeling this is what it is, and I really would like to know this, and can I do this, and it's cool, I want to do it, and yeah. But until I, and this is mostly the me in the shirt, until I take that step, trust me, or build those muscles, or, and it's it's some of it's and some of it's or, and some of it's a combination of, or the desire to capture that, to have that revealed to me, is turned, and my desire for it to be revealed is the key that unlocks it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. It's actually very helpful for me. Awesome.
And
Well,
the other thing that
follow-up portion.
What?
I said that concludes the follow-up portion.
Well, I just laughing at myself, because very little of that for me comes in the right way to meditate, if you catch my drift on that. Because
yeah,
I failed that. Failed that test. I've been failing for 55 years. And not all of that, what I just described in the first pitch and the, you know, pop fly, not all of it, but major portion of it comes with my eyes wide open.
well, that's really cool.
And I don't know whether that's because I was a blockhead and couldn't friggin' meditate, but was gonna unlock that door. And so I, you know, I don't know. It just, and it has nothing to do with right or wrong, better or worse. It's just me. It's just the way I do it. And it may be, in fact, I know it is totally unlike how a lot of people do it, very similar to how a lot of other people do it. and a combination thereof. For me, when I would do the things before and had the, okay, it was propensity, it was a predilection for, it was a, like obsession of comparing when I was little, especially. And it just didn't work. It was just disappointment. It was just all my life, when I was little especially, but for a while, it was, failure, built wrong, all that kind of stuff. And I thought, well, this is just more of this. And, I'm only a little kid and I've had enough of that already, thanks. So I turned it on its head, that wanting to compare, that, all those things. I didn't let it go per se, because I took the same, propensity, predilection, obsession, and turned it on its head that, well, I want to play, I want to experience, I want to acknowledge, recognize, probably wasn't my word back then, decode what's coming. I can't do it right that way. No matter how I try, I'm just not good enough, or, worthless, or yada, yada, yada. A whole long laundry list of things that we're always told, labels put on me. So I'm just going to do it this way. I don't care if it's right. I don't know if it's right, but hey, that's, I'm a hard-headed little bitch. And again, what I was told, I'm just going to go do what I'm going to do. So, yeah. So what I would hope that everybody takes from this is that everybody can do this, and everybody does it in their own unique way. And that's a really good thing, because the messages, the packets, the downloads, the information are intimate to you, from you. So you bloody well better be doing it in your own way, because otherwise you're not going to be able to open your own mail. If you're trying my way to do it, you can't open the mail.
I never thought about that, but that makes a lot of sense, doesn't it?
Doesn't it? Yeah.
Yep. Makes a lot of sense.
And so someone will say something or describe something, and even after all these years and all these things that, I've had come through it clear as mud or spectacularly clear, Smarmy will occasionally pop up and go, well, you don't do that. What's the matter with you? I'm thinking, okay, well, I don't know. I guess I'm not good enough at that, but that's okay, because I just girl and her dog, and I do what I do. So it happens to everybody, and my way to deal with it is just to be in the center of that. And what I have noticed is when I hear or experience or connect with someone who is describing something, I celebrate it. I celebrate what's flowing from them out. And even if there's part of me, and Smarmy says, well, you should learn that trick, because that's, or when are you going to experience something like that, right? Because in that celebration, and the celebration is genuine, I'm not celebrating it to get something or to further for me, right? But in that celebration, it's like taking that shower that I talked about of incoming stuff, and now putting it more in a flow, like of a river. In that celebration, I mix in that flow, and I'm celebrating fully, completely, open-heartedly with the other being and what's being shared. I celebrate that. And the kind of mixing metaphors, but the effervescence that comes off of the stream, the flow, the river, the waters of the river, that they're imbuing to me, and that I'm imbibing in, right? It sets something off within me. It unleashes something within me. And only if I'm in that celebration, only if I'm in that open-heartedness, the magical gift that it gives to me, that you can read in syncopation, that I give to myself, is sublimely delicious. And that sets me off on a whole other thing.
Well, I, in what you just said, what I saw very clearly for myself is that through your act of celebrating the other, you are no longer comparing the little you. And therefore, oh man, that is just so beautiful, BZ. And therefore not feeling small either.
Right.
And so you've stepped right out of feeling small and into the celebration of what this other being is discovering about and for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that piece, because that feels huge.
It is huge.
Yeah.
Wow. Not just a way to stop comparing oneself, but to fling oneself wholeheartedly into the flow. Oh. That was an excellent inning. Jeez. I don't know if I have the breath for another. No, I'm kidding. Wow, that was awesome.
Thank you for sharing, BZ.
Yeah.
That was really, really wonderful.
Yeah, and the breaking out, teasing out is hard, but it's, and someone just said, well, how long do these take?
Just moments.
Yeah, it could be less than a nanosecond.
Yeah.
And it could be, like over an hour, over a day, over a couple days. It depends.
Yeah.
And okay, so I'm sorry that this snarky smarmy is going to come out for a minute. And those who might say, well, you don't understand, and I have to work. Yeah, me too. And you can do it simultaneous to the working. Giving 110% to the work and 150% to the work, like it's the real job that I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. And until people start to wake up that are around you at, the job, no one will notice.
Yeah, that's true.
And when they do start to notice, hey, you're doing part of the real work because you're transmitting. So that old chestnut of, I don't understand, I got to work. Come up with a new one. So let's take a pause and then we'll come back for inning 5. Okay.
All right.
All right. So inning 5, we've got Lisa pitching, Sheila batting, and BZ infielding.
Thank you, friend. Gig is helping.
It's helping me feel. There you go. No fall off.
Is my crown throwing you off?
Maybe. I don't know. It's like there's no questions coming. Hold on. I'm still blank.
Okay. So
Yeah, help me through this. No questions are coming.
no, I think it's perfect actually, because part of what we're doing is actually not only are we playing the game, right?
Yeah.
But we're building the muscle of being multidimensional and playing the game. And so if you're always batting 1,000 or, doing a pop fly or, just smoking the ball right into the zone for the batter to hit it, then you're not building all the capabilities. You don't. What's the baseball saying? You're not having the strength in all of your players or all your positions. So can you turn that spot, that wrestling, that blank you have into a question for Sheila?
Okay.
So you understand? So that there's the then experience and the expansion for Sheila in fielding that ball, and the reflection for you in the pitch.
Okay. So I guess the question would be, so how do you handle it, Sheila, when you feel blank? I'm not quite sure how to formulate the question. Okay. Let me just relax.
Well, I feel blank a lot, but I mean, okay, so I think I feel blank a lot, but that's part of the problem.
Okay.
See, I know that.
Getting good. Go, girl, go.
No, but I mean, I know that. I know that now. That is, or has been, I should say, was part of the big problem for me. Or issue. It's not a problem. Nothing's really a problem. So I don't know that I'm ever actually blank nowadays. So even when I use the words "I got nothing," it's not entirely true.
I'd say it's a bald-faced lie, but okay.
All right, BZ, will you call me out? Well, okay, yes, there's that. But okay, so okay, I don't have a fully formed thing when I'm saying that. Let's put it that way. You know, we talked earlier. One of the things that I asked BZ was, you know, does things come in all at once? You've got it, which so far my experience has been that when I already know it's all in here, I get that. But for whatever reasons, most often I've chosen, for whatever stupid effing reason I can figure out, not to reveal to myself something or another. And that's what I mean when I say I ain't got nothing. Because in those moments, I don't have whatever it is that I perceive I want or need to have. And so, but now it's different for me now than it was, in that in times prior, when I had nothing or I felt blank, there was a whole crap ton of beating myself up over it.
Yeah.
And there isn't any of that anymore.
Yay.
And I'm getting really good at catching myself, beating myself up, and putting the kibosh on that really quick. So even though I might think I'm blank, I know I'm not. And I just have found myself more relaxing into, okay, well, if I don't have it right now, I'm not supposed to have it right now. And when I need it or I'm supposed to have it, then it will be there. And I just know that. And I'm moving confidently forward. And if I don't feel confident, then I take a nap. Or, you know, I mean,
I love this advice.
I mean, you know, I'm not what I mean by that is I'm not rushing out and jumping in the car and going and doing something on a half-ass guess. If I, you know what I mean? If I don't feel 100%, let's go, or something, or if I feel blank or whatever, I'm okay with it. It just means it's not time to put my ass in the car and go after it. And I'm just getting more confident in what I get, when I get, how I get, and if I don't get, I'm okay with that too.
Yes, I like that.
Yeah. Was that good? Do you feel like you need more? Just wondering if there was any follow-ups.
No, I think the band is making me laugh.
That's what it was designed to do.
No, I like how this turned out, because I didn't beat myself up for it. I started to laugh because nothing was coming and nothing was coming. And I didn't panic this time. So I also noticed that. But that was good advice BZ gave, because it was organic in the moment that I was experiencing that. So that was beautiful. I mean, that was the perfect segue into the conversation. And we discovered here that Sheila was able to tap into her all-knowingness at will, which was also rather delicious for me to watch. This was really fun, this particular role. I loved it.
You know, one thing that I actually love the way you handled your blank, your whatever, you know, the perception of the blank, I think is the more accurate way for my way to phrase it.
Yes.
And Sheila's answer, it for me, and from a being of service to others perspective, it's a beautiful illustration of how the lower mind just, you know, has this really sticky fingered gumming up works of jumping in and, you know, subjugating the heart and the plan or creativity to those sticky fingeredness. I mean, this was a beautiful illustration of that, you know, not of that it can happen, that it has a possibility to happen, so that you can see it and it's beautifully illustrated, but yet that you simply don't allow it to happen. You know, it did bring up a question, and like Lisa did in the very first. Well, it's kind of like what Lisa did in the very first time we played quantum baseball. I'm not answering the question, but I'm going to ask Lisa a question. If we were all just sitting around and we weren't playing quantum baseball, right, and you weren't the pitcher, right, you would have no problem asking a question of Sheila, just an expansive question, not, you know, well, hey, did you get your nails painted or something, you know, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I'm talking about, the illustration of, so now we're playing a game and, you know, you're the pitcher and, okay, the ball's yours, right? So if you feel moved to, the question would be, can you feel what's different or what's going on between those two things that I described? So one is, you know, just, right?
Right. I guess it's because the questions that I have for her, I don't, you know, like she usually doesn't go, so give me a question. I guess it's the feeling of being put on the spot, like, okay, now go. And I guess I felt, yeah. Oh, and actually I didn't feel panicky like the first time. You know, the first time we played, I actually felt a little bit of panic and a little swirl. And I kept saying something to myself. And so this time there was no panic and there was no looping, just blankness, like no question pulled forward. And then I felt uncomfortable about that. And so I started to laugh, and then I felt a little bit more comfortable. But I did not formulate a question for some reason. It didn't, I don't know, I feel like it didn't bubble for it. Right. Whereas usually her and I will be in the natural conversation and something will bubble for it.
Yeah, but
so I guess being on the spot makes me feel like maybe that's the difference. I don't know. I'm not sure.
My suspicion is when you're in the other setting that the questions, and there's never a dearth of them, are all coming from the heart.
Okay.
And here you know, we're playing a game. And so there's probably got to be rules. And the rule is I got to ask a question. So where is all of this coming from? Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, it does to me, but I got to be honest. I felt and feel a bit differently in this particular case. And that doesn't mean anything except for that I feel differently. And when yeah, that maybe a buck will get you a cup of coffee somewhere. I don't know. Oh, wait a minute, maybe two. At any rate, what I was going to say was, I kind of feel like that even the fact that it didn't, the question didn't come.
Yeah.
I feel like, first of all, it was all perfect in the way that it happened.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I feel also that it was specific. It was specific in that that was the question. I mean, it ended up being the question. So I'm kind of feeling like it was specific and on purpose, even though you might feel that it wasn't. You see what I mean? Oh, okay. I got it.
And there's more than just 3 players here.
Right. Well, yes, number one. And number two, that was actually something that must have wanted to come forth in the way that it did. And I wouldn't be surprised to find out that that wasn't something that wasn't prearranged in a certain sort of way. You know, I not that I have any, you know, anything on that, but it just feels like because of the perfection of the question, and that it would, you know, come to me first of all.
I know. I'm sorry. I wanted to laugh really hard many times. Now the perfection, I know what you mean. And you in the headband.
I'm sorry. I knew the headband was going to throw you off. I guess I should have waited and used it a different time, but I couldn't stand myself. As soon as it was ready, I had to wear it.
Well, you know,
beautiful.
It's an illustration of it's all perfect and perfectly done.
Yes. Yes, I absolutely feel that. I mean, the minute that actually came out in the way that it did, when you decided that that was the question, I was like, wow, the perfection of this one is just perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just, I want to play with that for a moment a little bit further. So I'll just repeat because it feels important to repeat that the whole play of quantum baseball is to play. That's the whole point. Now on that there's layers. So friends getting together and playing, friends sharing, inviting others to come in and play. I would love to, you know, I'll have to get my schedule set up a little bit, but where we have, you know, other people can invite and we're going to, hey, we're playing tonight and, you know, come on in. And it also is that, well, a lot of people will play games because it's fun and they like to do it and it's a great camaraderie and all that kind of stuff, but it also helps them get in shape and, right? So we have work to do. We got to build a whole new earth. So it'd be helpful if we were, you know, in multidimensional shape. And this is a fun way to do it.
Yeah. I enjoy this.
Me too.
Cool. All right, let's pause quick, and then we will go with our final inning tonight in this game.
Okay.
Awesome.
All right, we're going to do inning 6. Beezy is pitching. I'm going to clutch. Lisa is batting, and Sheila is fielding. Too funny. Smarmy is sitting here going, yeah, don't screw it up. Don't screw it up.
It's just playing a game.
That's it. So, Lisa, you've described on kind of in other conversations that we've had recorded on camera, and then other conversations that we've had off camera, where you refer to your navigation system, right? Your internal navigation system, and there's one particular part I wanted to focus the question on.
Okay.
So maybe it has a couple sections. So do you consistently use it when navigating? So that could be driving or walking, or maybe if you were researching something. So navigating. I'm just going to leave it as navigating. Do you consistently use it for navigating?
Mm-hmm.
And can you share how it's changed, if it has, and how you tune into it?
Okay, so you mean changing from when I first started using it to now?
Yeah, yeah, whatever change, how has it changed, if it has, and whatever that is.
Okay. So, yeah. Okay, so when you say navigational system, do you mean like just driving?
Well, one of the first times you shared that was I think one of the first conversations where there was a
or I used it like a GPS, right?
Yeah.
Right. I'm going to say yes and no to that. Because when I first learned of it, I used it sporadically, and then I started to use it pretty much full time where I was in DC. But since I've been here, I'm honestly going to say for driving, I really don't. Because I'm directionally challenged. Sort of, it's just not my forte, if you will. And so for me, it was a really big deal to know that I could trust my own guidance, because I rely on, people. But I have to say, since I moved here, Sheila usually navigates. So to be really honest, but what's super funny is as recently, my GPS wants to go a different way than hers. So even if she will tell me to turn right, I will turn left. And I know that that can upset people in my life. Okay, so I've just decided that my greater being needs me to drive down the street. Okay, like I'm needed in the area. It's a mission. So I don't get mad at myself when that happens. I even built in time for that. Because I know that, and I kind of hold it as I get lost a lot. because that's a little more socially acceptable. And so, I might play small and say that. Honestly, I'm fiercely trusting myself, and that's why I don't berate myself for, you went way out of your way to get there, but that's okay because I was supposed to go that way. So I really trust my internal guidance system. Now, not everybody trusts my internal guidance system that I ride along through my life with, driving or otherwise. So, sometimes there's a bit of a thing. Like sometimes people can get really upset by what happens, and they think that I do it on purpose to upset people, or lots of things can happen behind just my fears. If I feel called, I don't know, I just do. I just follow my internal guidance. Now, when it comes to navigating through my life, I'm definitely way more fiercely dedicated to my internal navigation system. And I would say within, like the last 5 years, I've really honed it. And I'm getting better and better at, parsing out for myself where my fierce boundaries lie, just myself, and how I want my life to look, and who I want to participate, and that kind of thing. And it's all about, frequency neighborhoods, choices, places that I wish to be in. And I know that the only way to get there and to stay there is by following my internal guidance system. Now, I have to say that being in community in my own fierce boundaries, like following my navigation no matter what, there's subtle nuances that I'm still learning. So like it was a habit for me in the past to defer to my loved ones when what my navigation system, was asking me to take a right when everybody else in the world was going left. There was a real struggle, and not all the time did my guidance win. I'm going to say mostly I would defer to the group simply because I was too afraid to take that turn off the beaten path and be alone and find myself by myself. Well, as it turns out, there she is. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, yeah, but I must have taken a wrong turn on the lollipop ship of Zoomness.
So were you frozen? Did you, what did you?
I just disappeared.
Yeah, I know.
So I'll have to get this is why we have multiple recordings. So I'll have to grab your recording of this one.
Okay.
Yeah, so I actually, it's funny, one of those things where from a Zoom perspective, I heard you even though I was losing it. And then I heard you still talking, but Zoom was gone and then Zoom came back. What I didn't hear was the very last part of the conclusion right before you said, there she is.
Do you remember, Sheila, where I was at? Sheila said, keep going. I was
you were speaking on the fact that you have finally, because right. you have now now I'm fiercely dedicated
Right.
And now I know that I will never be alone, first of all. And second of all, the people who also match my dream or match the desire of my heart and my soul, those who are stepping up to, maybe accept the invitation is a better way to say it, because I'm issuing invitation for community, conscious community. And in my own fierce dedication to myself and to my boundaries, I know that I will attract the same. Yeah. And that if I have to take a left when everybody else I am currently with is taking a right, I know that my navigation system is boldly taking me to exactly where I belong, to be with exactly who I need to be with. And I don't need to fear what happens to the crowd or and listen, if the crowd goes this way and I find myself on a solo path for a minute as I meet those who are on their way to me, then at least I have the comfort of knowing that I am right where I'm supposed to be, doing exactly what I'm supposed to be doing, and with the people that I'm supposed to be doing it with. Because if everybody is heading that way, then that is not my tribe. Right. Especially if my guidance has me looking in this direction. So, and I have to say that really up until very recently did I make that decision that even if this means that I'm going to be on my own for a minute, I'm okay with that, because I can no longer, it is, for a while it was easier, right, to do. It was a groove. It was well worn. I didn't really have to do a lot to just keep going, right? That inertia was already there. The hard part was to go, oh, I have to switch gears now. It got so uncomfortable to me that I couldn't do it any longer. But I did it until it was so uncomfortable to me, I couldn't do it. I won't do it any longer, because I love and care about myself too much to ever punish myself in that fashion ever again, because I just don't wish to experience that. And I have to tell you that I have only been rewarded for this dedication to loving myself, because the people that show up and continue to show up are so worth every moment of it, that I wouldn't have it any other way. I won't. I hope that
brava
answers the question.
It not only answers the question, but for me, just beginning on consciously beginning consciously on the journey of finding out what I like and don't like, what I want and don't want, what, really paying attention to myself, really finding out what is my guidance and that sort of thing. Knowing or having gotten to being able to get to know you and watch you with your internal guidance and experience what it looks like, feels like, tastes like to be around someone who has been doing that, who has been honing that, who is looking out for what makes their heart sing, right? It's just been, it's been very informative for me. And in trying to, because that whole thing of wanting to be with people, that's very real. No one wants to be alone.
Right.
However, and part of this may be a function of my age as well, but I've been there and done that now. And I know that some of these things don't make my heart sing. So I got to figure out first what makes my heart sing, but I can't figure that out if I'm not following my guidance either. So I wanted to thank you for one thing, because I have seen you become more and more solid in trusting it 100. It's like you were trusting it a lot when you first came here. Oh, okay, wait a minute. It's not that you weren't trusting it. It is that I because I have seen the deference that you mentioned. I've seen that. I've experienced it with you. I've caused it, actually. In terms of my helping us navigate around town, right? Take a left here because I know where we're going and you don't. And you want to take a right or whatever. But I back when I was first starting with the two of you, and BZ brought up that whole thing about, well, you're tootling your energy around town. That gave me a different outlook on that kind of thing. So I'm very cautious now not to try to direct Lisa too much, because maybe we are supposed to be taking a little detour around. And whenever we leave the house, I'm not in any kind of big rush. So,
Yeah, for me it was it's how you answered and how you shared the navigation tool, but the shift in it, do you, because the first part was, do you routinely do it? Yes, no. And so yes was back there in DC, well, because you get lost and there's a lot of commotion, and right, so you needed it. Yeah, on some levels. And then here, well, it's either Sheila's telling you where to go, or it's not that hard, so you can't get lost. But then I asked you where the shift was, and so that takes it from the external to the internal. And you gave, a really lovely illustration of that fierceness. We've talked a lot about this, the fierceness of, well, you said beautifully, of being true to you and staying to that, and what that takes, and that it is a, contrary to what some, in local proximity may feel, however that is, it's an incredible selfless gift of love when you do that. Incredible. And sometimes very difficult.
Yes.
But you need that fish. This is what we are, warriors at being kick-ass creator beings. We can't play at it anymore. And so, yeah, you gave a beautiful illustration of just how it works. And if the path tells me, if I'm telling me and all of me is telling me that we're going here, by God, we're going there.
Yes.
Yep. And that fierce component is really instructional, I feel, for the way you described it and emoted it, right, is very instructional, illustrational for others, because this is not, you don't corner the market on having to decide, right? And so, you know, for a tip or a tool or a, you know, a step by step, well, there you go. Just back up the tape a little bit, and you know, you've got one example of that. And that's what it takes, because creative beings, you know, are not waiting to run with the crowd.
Right.
And they're not waiting to, you know, do these other things. They're not waiting for the memo.
That's right.
They're not waiting for, well, hey, that sounds great. We'll wait to see how it turns out.
Yeah.
Especially when, if you're honest with yourself, when you kind of say all those different things, or you're kind of hedging is really what it is, of the energy of that, because you know, you can feel it. It's pulsing, it's flashing, right? It's that constant within you, that what Lisa illustrated here is wanting to step forward. But it's a free will zone, from you to
Has
you.
to be invited.
A non-interference zone. Hey, non-interference clause, right? And the funny thing is that us listeners will, well, how come I don't get that? Or you know, when's this gonna happen? Or, well, I need my fair share. Yeah, okay, great. But the sovereignty in that is that it's an inside job. So yeah, I thought it was very cool.
Yeah, me too.
Cool.
Wow.
That concludes this game of quantum baseball.
It's a good one.
And I hope when we put out the call and post the poster to the local community, you know, board that we're playing, people will come on down and
Yeah, I hope so
play as
too.
well.
I think that'd be awesome.
Yeah. Take a swing at that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So lace up.
Yeah. And no, you a crown is not required.
Right.
I
Let me just
know.
say.
I would acquire a crown.
I just wanted to go out there and say,
how to make that happen.
Hey, David, we're expecting you on the sign-up sheet, man.
yeah. Well, now I have to say, I think David will. You know, had it turned out that we had been able to do this while David was here, he was looking forward to the idea of it. And I want to give a shout out to David, because this crown is courtesy of David when he came to visit last week.
Yeah.
So,
but
yeah, it
you
was
know,
fabulous.
On the unlikely chance that David doesn't have internet where he is, that there are plenty of coffee shops that have internet where they are. And
yeah, no, we will be getting David on this.
Since I'm nowhere near North Carolina, and I can still come play quantum baseball, and you actually are in the same state, young man.
Well, actually, he's over in Georgia now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
He's back over towards Atlanta now. So, but yes, no, you're right.
4 hours away.
Okay, well, different state notwithstanding, your state is closer than my state.
That's right. 4 hours. 4 hours.
That's right. We will be getting David on for quantum baseball. Heads up, David.
We're coming for you.
Yeah, coming for you.
All right. Well, good night, everybody.
Mwah.
Much love.